Ayo, Broyles here, and you are just about to start on your journey into the Giuseppe Arcimboldo portrait using warp and puppet warp. That's the project that we are working on. So, a little bit about Giuseppe Arcimboldo. He is a Renaissance painter, and instead of painting portraits of people during the Renaissance, so this is like just right after like the Mona Lisa was being painted, he decided that he was going to do oil paintings of faces made up of different objects. So it's a portrait, but made out of objects, like still life objects. And you can see some are themed with the seasons. This one was summer. The other one was spring. So flowers, vegetables, fruits, things that you have lots of different varieties to choose from. This is called Vortmos, earth made of animals. If you want to do animals again, probably stay away from human parts. This one is kind of cool, but it does look a little creepy. They did the full body in this one. We are just doing the portrait face, like a side view, which is the profile, which would be this view would be a profile, or the front of the face with the face looking at you would be the other option. So this one's made out of fish. This one's made out of like kitchen or metal pieces. This is animals. Vegetables. You can do many, many different things with this project. Flowers work really well, but we are basing our inspiration on Giuseppe Arcimboldo. So here are some student examples. This is all the fish. I like how the fish make the shoulder up. This person did like fruits and flowers and butterflies, so like springtime. Car parts, candy, more sea life, more candy, more wildlife. This one was snack foods or fast food. And if you get done with the face and you want to explore making a landscape, these are some cute landscapes that were made with various objects instead of what they should be made out of. All right, so in your assignment, you have the choice of a front face grid or the profile side view. And we can flip the side view to face whatever direction you want. Take note, when you click on this, there is not a download button right away. You have to get it out of Classroom. So you have to say open in a new window. It's going to open it in a new window, and then you have the download button to go ahead and download that face onto your computer, and then you are going to pop over into Photoshop or Photopea, but probably Photoshop. Where am I? Photoshop. And I am going to file open my face grid. So I'm going to start with this blank face grid. It is my background, and I'm going to add things to it, and then eventually I'm going to turn off the background so I can't see it. So my theme or content that I decided to start building my face out of is Japan. So I just picked a broad subject, so there's lots of things I can choose from. I've already kind of started. You can see I am trying to label my layers, and I'm adding different things on here. So I want to add something for the ears, and I want to talk a little bit about some different selection techniques to kind of expand on that. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about some transformation. We learned warp, but we're going to learn how to do puppet warp to be able, and perspective, to make the things fit on the face. Okay. So first things first, let's talk about selection. We've been playing in these selection tools up here. We've got the polygon lasso tool, magnetic lasso tool. We started with that on our animal project to take parts of things. We've used object selection tool when we did our sleigh. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start with object selection tool. I'm going to see how like the newest technology is going to help me out. Notice when I come over here and I try to select my object, it's going to select the piece of paper. Okay. So poo on that. I don't like that. But if you notice up here, when I am on object select, it gives me a bunch of options up here. There's a button up here that says select subject. If I click select subject and click OK, it's going to actually select the subject. It's hard to see with object selection over there, but I have dancing ants pretty much around my dragon. It did miss some parts, like this part in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to switch to my magic wand. So the magic wand works like this. It's going to say, hey, if I want this white, I'm going to take all the white associated with it. But here's the trick. This white is inside. So this is outside my selection, inside my selection. If I'm inside my selection and I want to say, don't take this part either. Don't take this white. If I hold down Alt or Option, so Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac, it gives me the magic wand with a little minus sign. This says like, I don't want that either. So see how I now just in one click selected that white area. And I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want that. So sometimes we still need to go in and clean up our selections. And this is a nice way to keep using the computer to select everything that is like the same color around. And again, remember, I'm holding down Alt when I'm clicking this. If I accidentally click the red, I can always undo, clean that part up. This part I might have to mask and get cleaned up or erase it when I get it in there. I can see in here it forgot the claw. So instead of holding Alt, if I hold Shift, notice when I hold Shift, it says, I want that too. Okay, so rather than subtracting it, if I want to add a piece to the selection, if I hold Shift down, I'm going to use the magic wand and I'm going to say, I want that full talon and I want that full foot. Give me the whole thing. Okay. I might need to come back in and mask that because I'm taking a whole bunch of extra things there, but at least I'm getting closer to where I want to be. So again, we start playing the keyboard a little bit. So Alt is I don't want that. Shift is I do want that. So I'm going to trace around and make sure that I am getting a good selection. Looking around. I don't want the white paper. That looks good. And then, from there, I can either click select and mask here, which is going to open up select and mask. I like to have the overlay showing. I like that red showing because this is where I can then go clean up my mask. If I want to use the brush tool like we have in the mask tool in our last project, it's the third brush down. That's the brush tool. Using my brackets, I can make that bigger or smaller. And as I come in here, I can paint away that red so that those dancing ants won't be there anymore. So I can clean up that selection here. And if I needed to paint anything out, then I would go to the minus sign. That's going to paint in red. And I can go and so I forgot this little white part here and this little white part here. So I can go and clean up anything that I forgot. So that is a nice function of being in select and mask is that I can mask if I needed to refine the edge, if it was furry or if it was actually like somebody's hair, then just like in our animal project, I could go and refine the hair, or I could use the refine edge brush, which would give me a refined edge. All right, I'm going to come over here real quick. make my brush bigger because I just want to paint over this. I could erase it once I got it in here, and I'll clean that other part up later, but for the sake of the video, we're going to call that good enough. Okay. When I click OK, I'm going to get my dancing ants back. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to copy the pixels. I'm going to go back to my face. I'm going to edit, paste my pixels in. Okay. They pasted in way down on the bottom. I want to pull that layer up to the top so I can see what's going on. I'm going to grab the move tool. I'm going to try to use this as an ear, I think. So I'm going to free transform down. Okay, so let's talk about transformations a bit. Let's see. I got a little bit more on here than I want, but I was thinking that maybe this dragon might fit into the ear a little bit more. Okay, so I can try to size it up. Yeah, that might work. It's not quite on the top. I want it on the top so I can see what I'm doing. So there we go. This is called left ear dragon. If I have some extra things here, I can always just use the eraser tool like I'm going to do right now and just erase that extra piece because I didn't select it out of there. Okay, so I'll clean that up later, but I can always use the eraser tool. Here's the part that we are learning with this project. So we already know how to go to edit, free transform. I already did that once. I think I used the shortcut Command T to change just the basic scale. If you noticed in our last project, we also went down to transform and we used warp. Okay. Warp will also work really well with this project because I can start moving these pieces so that they fit better along the shape that I want it to fit in. Still keeping an eye on what the actual shape is. So we're just going to have those hang out there. I don't want to distract from the shape, but I do want this to kind of look like an ear. So I can use warp to do that. Then I can lock that in and be like, how did I do? If I want to see the grid while I'm doing that, because we are using this grid for a purpose, if I come over to my layers panel and I pull the opacity down of my dragon, I can see some of these lines here, and I want to follow these lines with my dragon. So I could go back to, edit, transform. I could use warp, okay? And then I could then see the edge of the ear better. I can use these levers to start, or these intersections to try to get the ear on the same lines. What you'll notice when you're doing parts, this dragon is pretty flat, okay? I need it to look like it is going backwards a little bit. So that's where it's going to take us to edit, transform. There's a perspective transformation as well. So with edit, transform, perspective, if I squish these down, okay, and I pull these up, it looks, oops, too much. It starts to look like the ear is going towards the back. Okay. I can skew it one direction or the other, and then I might need to get out of here and then go back. So fix the perspective. I could go back to free transform. Sometimes I have to hold shift. I'm going to just elongate this dragon a little bit. Shift will allow you to change the proportions. It won't be stuck. And then now I'm getting a better ear shape. The last warping transformation tool I want to talk to you about is Puppet Warp. So if I go to edit and I can go to Puppet Warp, Puppet Warp works like this. It's going to put a grid over my dragon. it should do it in just a second. Can we see it? Why can't we see it? View, guides, view, show, mesh. There we go. Yours will show automatically. I just had that turned off. So this is the way Puppet Warp works. There's places that I don't want to move. So I'm going to go and it gives me this little thumbtack. I'm going to be like, I want you to tack that down, pin that to the board, pin that to the board. I'm good with those. Okay. Maybe I'm going to pin this piece to the board. So this is saying, I don't really want these parts to move. Maybe I don't want it to move here. I'm going to pin that down and I'm going to pin that down. But then what I can do is say, I can put a pin here. All these pins move. I can then move this arm where I want it. So if I want this dragon arm to be down here so that it fits better with my ear, I can move that. This dragon tail that's hanging out here, if I add a point out here, I can then move that. Notice it's moving the rest of my tail. If I don't want my tail to move because I had already set that, I'm going to pin that to the board down here so that doesn't move. And then I can go back and I can move this tail. Notice I don't want it. I maybe want to move slightly with another pin as well, so that I don't get little divots. You can move all of these really slightly. I'll just give myself a little bit bigger of an ear. And then maybe these ribbons over here, I want to move kind of back up and in. So this is going to give you a lot of manipulation possibilities with moving things around to make them fit into the parts that you want them to fit in. Again, I want to be careful. I want to make sure it still looks like a dragon. So although I am dragging some of these parts together, I want the face of the dragon to still be prevalent. So take note, when you move one part, it's going to move the other part. I'll move this in here. Move that one back down. I don't like, anyway. Okay. When you click enter, now I have a better dragon. I'm going to pull up the opacity on that because I was kind of watching the lines of that. Now I have a sweet dragon as an ear. I can decide what's going to go. It's going to go underneath the fish. So I want it underneath the koi fish. This is a definitely a project where you want to label your layers. All right, so now I have that ear there. All I have to do is duplicate the ear. So I'm going to right click or double finger click on a Chrome, or you're not on a Chromebook. Duplicate that. I can go ahead and move that over, but then I need to flip it. So edit, transform, flip horizontal. It's going to flip that dragon. So then I can just tuck that dragon into place, make sure that it is underneath my fish. And then I have added my dragons as ears. Make sure you save along the way. So file, save as. I know in the past video I was mentioning saving as TIFFs. We don't normally save as TIFFs now. We save as Photoshop files, so .psds. And we also save to cloud documents. That tutorial was made before all of that happened. And then now I'm going to pick the next thing that I'm going to add. I want to look at the lines, like what could I add here that kind of has a wave that goes up and down that would follow these lines? Oh, what about a wave or the great wave? Or what am I going to use as my head here, like an upside down ramen bowl? Ooh, noodles. Noodles would be cool down here. So again, as we build this, we are eventually turning off that grid, and the pieces that you're adding here are going to create your face. So I will post when I am finished with my face, because I will be done. I will have exported it as a PNG, and I will have filled all the face Oh, one thing, be careful when you add hair, hair's all up here, right? This, unless you have a bald head, your hair is going to stick off of your head to make it look a little bit more normal. Don't forget the neck and the shoulders, because that will give you a foundation for your Giuseppe Arcimboldo thing. All right. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time for more. Yay.